All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to this explainer, where we take some of these pretty heavy documents and turn them into clear, actionable roadmaps. Today we are breaking down the newly released DepEd Memorandum number 089. This is the memo that sets up the comprehensive guidelines for the Multi-Year Performance Management and Evaluation System, or PMES, for teachers. If you've been wondering exactly how this is going to affect your school year, your workload, and your evaluations from right now all the way to school year 27-2028, well, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to transform this memorandum into a simple chronological journey so you know exactly what's coming. Here's a quick look at our agenda for today. We'll briefly cover the PMS shift, figure out your specific PSST stage, walk through the 4 performance phases, break down how to master your classroom observations, and finally, look at how we're doing reviews without all that extra paperwork.
So, kicking things off with Part 1, the multi-year PMS shift. Let's look at what this means for your actual workload.
To really understand this shift, we've got to zoom out for a second. The Department of Education essentially suspended the old RPMS to give everyone a much more structured, evidence-based approach that really cuts down on unnecessary burdens. And the absolute most important takeaway here is the number 14. Rather than feeling totally overwhelmed by a constantly shifting landscape of requirements, your focus is entirely on a standardized total of exactly 14 PPST indicators per school year. These are carefully split between classroom observable and non-classroom observable indicators. Having exactly 14 indicators brings a tremendous amount of focus to your year, right? It lets you actually master these specific areas instead of feeling scattered everywhere.
Okay, moving right along to Part 2, understanding your PPST stage.
So with the scope set at 14 indicators, we need to figure out exactly which lane you're in. It's super straightforward because your specific position aligns directly with the career stage. If you're a teacher I, or 3, you're mapped to the beginning towards proficient stage. Teachers 4 through 7 fall under the proficient stage. Now, as you step up into supervisory and mentoring roles, master teachers I and 2 are classified as highly proficient. And finally, master teachers 3 to 5 are distinguished. It is incredibly important to know your stage right from the get-go. For example, during classroom observations, beginning towards proficient teachers are rated on a totally different rubric level, levels 2 to 6, compared to proficient teachers who use levels 3 to 7.
Next up, Part 3, the 4 performance phases. Let's look at your yearly timeline. Now that our roles and stages are crystal clear, let's talk about how this all unfolds across the actual calendar. The whole performance management process is built as an ongoing, supportive cycle. It's not just some dreaded year-end checklist anymore. It integrates planning, monitoring, reviewing, and rewarding into one continuous, flowing loop of professional growth.
Let's put some actual time frames to those phases so you know what to expect. Phase 1 is performance planning and commitment. That kicks off a month before classes even open and extends up to a month after. Phase 2 is performance monitoring and coaching. This one happens continuously throughout the entire school year. Then we have Phase 3, which is broken into 2 parts. The mid-year review happens about 5 months after opening, and the year-end review hits right after the last day of classes. And finally, Phase 4, rewarding and development planning, wraps the whole shebang up right before the succeeding school year begins.
Which brings us to Part 4, mastering classroom observations. I know, usually the most anxiety-inducing part of the year, right?
Well, you can go ahead and take a deep breath because the new rules establish some very clear boundaries. The memorandum is highly specific about frequency. You are literally only required to undergo 2 full-period classroom observations per school year. That's it, just 2. And they are cleanly split up. Your first observation is going to happen sometime during the first or second quarter. Your second one will take place during the third or fourth quarter. This is huge because it ensures you aren't just bombarded with observations all at once, which gives you plenty of time to actually implement any feedback you get between sessions.
And the procedure itself? It's highly structured to completely eliminate surprises. It kicks off with a pre-observation conference, where you and your observer have to agree on the schedule at least 3 working days prior. No pop quizzes here. Then, you submit your lesson plan exactly 1 day before the observation. Step 3 is just delivering your lesson for the class period. And finally, Step 4 is the post-observation conference. That has to happen immediately or at least within 3 days, so the feedback is actually fresh and useful.
I absolutely love this next detail. The policy sets incredibly strict protocols for the observers themselves. While you're up there teaching, observers must remain entirely neutral and unobtrusive. They have to sit on available chairs, and if there are multiple observers, they actually have to sit apart from each other. They're explicitly told not to discuss anything during the class. But here's the best part. They must avoid giving any feedback, and that includes facial expressions or nonverbal communication while you are teaching.
Once it's over, they just thank you and leave the room. It totally protects your flow and keeps the environment respectful.
Finally, part 5, reviews without the paperwork. And honestly, this is a massive, massive shift.
As we look toward Phase 3, those mid-year and year-end evaluations, there is a huge policy shift that's going to change how you document your whole year. Listen to this exact quote. "No portfolio for performance assessments shall be collected." You heard that right. Physical portfolios are officially a thing of the past. The memo emphasizes that your evidence can be cross-cutting. Basically, one piece of evidence can target multiple objectives, so you don't need to duplicate a million copies of documents for every single requirement. Your actual teaching and your cross-cutting evidence will just speak for themselves.
There's also this really crucial safeguard for your evaluation. Say you have multiple observers for a classroom observation. Well, your final rating is never just some cold mathematical average of their individual scores. The memo requires an inter-observer agreement exercise. Observers actually have to sit down, discuss their individual ratings, and come to a fair, reasoned, consensual judgment based on what they actually saw and documented. It guarantees that fairness and real context are prioritized over just punching numbers into a calculator.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a quick thought. DPED Memorandum 089 is clearly designed to streamline your workload, standardize what's expected of you, and honestly, just cut out the redundant paperwork. So now that this system is actually built to work for you rather than against you, how are you going to channel that extra energy and that reclaimed time back into the art of teaching this year? Thanks so much for hanging out with me to unpack this roadmap, and here's to a great school year ahead.